This gaming PC is still here in the shop because after we fixed the post air yesterday, well, it's idling at 78 degrees Celsius on our CPU.
That's way too hot.
Especially when we're doing nothing on a 240mm AIO. But the weirdest part about this is, if we take a look at the coolant temp, it's sitting at just 32 degrees Celsius. That's pretty cool for a CPU running so hot. And the pump is obviously running, and I can even feel the fluid running through the tubes. So if our AIO hasn't failed, what gives? Well, anytime you see a big differential in temps like this between your cooler and CPU itself,
It can mean one of two things.
either bad dried up thermal paste, or what I'm assuming is going on is that it all has to do with this mount. You see how it doesn't fully secure around the water block itself?
That doesn't look right to me.
And a quick peek at Corsair's manual for this cooler, none of that hardware is even here.
It uses a completely different bracket for AM4 and AM5.
This style is nowhere to be seen.
So how is that possible?
Well, I just got off the phone with my customer, and it turns out my customer reused his old mounting hardware from his previous Corsair AIO. So no wonder temps are so high, because our CPU cooler is not making proper contact with the CPU itself. So I just had my customer come back and bring over the proper AMD mounting kit that came with this new cooler. So in order to swap that, the first thing we got to do is wipe off the old thermal paste. Then we can pop this old bracket off. This way we can actually install the right bracket. And you can see how it's a nice snug fit right there. That's how it's supposed to look. Then because we're changing this bracket, we also need to remove the stock mounting hardware for the AM5 socket, which can be unscrewed and removed. Then to install this cooler properly, we have to install these mounting offsets. And there's actually a smaller and larger size. We're gonna wanna use the larger size going down into the actual back plate. This way they all get installed like this. And with those standoffs installed with some fresh thermal paste, we can install our cooler and get that screwed down. And while we're working on the system, there's a couple other things I noticed that we can fix. Like the fact that the GPU backplate protective film is still on. Please always remove this. And then I noticed that we don't have anything plugged into our CPU fan header, even though that's the sense pin right there for the actual AIO. So let's move that up top. And then we can make this whole build look so much better if we just take these two CPU power cables and plug both of them and rerun them along the backside through this top pass-through and plug them in around front, creating a much cleaner look. And although looking nice is a good thing, what really matters is performance. And check that out, our CPU is now sitting at 41 degrees Celsius. That's like a 30-degree drop for just not mounting your CPU cooler properly. So with this PC now running nice and cool, let's get the system back over to our customer.